In a historic auto workers walkout, the targeted strike takes aim at the big three U.S. automakers for the first time. Negotiations have resumed between the union and the three manufacturers, but the opposing sides remain at odds on the deal. ABC's Morgan Norwood has more on the standoff.
Nearly 13,000 auto workers back on the picket lines as the United Auto Workers Union goes head-to-head with America's three big car companies for higher wages and better benefits. The strike making history as it's the first time the UAW has done a targeted labor action at all three car manufacturers. So far, a GM plant in Missouri, a Ford plant in Michigan, and a Stellantis-owned Chrysler plant in Ohio have been impacted. Over the weekend, negotiations continuing with the UAW saying it had reasonably productive conversations with Ford before meeting Sunday with GM. Talks between the UAW and Stellantis scheduled to resume today, though the car maker says it's now increased its offer to workers, matching Ford and GM with a roughly 20% increase for hourly wages over the life of a new contract. But that's half of the increase that the union has been asking for, along with better retiree benefits and a 4-day work week.
I just hope they come to their senses. We're not asking for everything. We just want a little cut of the pie, just a small slice.
The pay of the CEOs at the auto company has taken center stage, with the three CEOs earning hundreds of times what their average employees make and seeing their compensation rise by 40%, while the union says workers have only received a 6% increase in the same period. The UAW's targeted strike impacting non-striking workers as well, with GM and Ford announcing temporary layoffs for non-striking employees. But the UAW is accusing the companies of trying to put the squeeze on our members to settle for less.
Beyond 60 days, we run into trouble, right? Because then the effect is as inventories dry up, but the demand for cars are still there, the effect is going to be in prices.
And economists are keeping a close eye on the impact to the economy, but say at this point the strike isn't enough to trigger a recession. Meanwhile, a professor of labor studies says the UAW's current stand-up strike is a nod to the 1930s movement called the sit-down strikes. That's when the union gained recognition by auto companies after General Motors workers protested inequality. And now history repeats itself with a modern twist. Swanson said this strategy of asking members to strike when called to do so keeps company leaders on their toes. He said the uncertainty brings leverage to the union and havoc to management. And beyond that, the conversations of labor movements are buzzing more than ever, from Amazon and Starbucks to the writer's strike. He thinks this is motivating others.
So I do think workers are seeing that they have more power than they had, and go back just 20 years when, large companies, had wait lists of people wanting to come to work for them. Now those large companies are doing high school job fairs and can't fill all their vacancies. So the power dynamic has shifted.
Now, through their studies, they've also learned people aren't having large families, leading to a smaller pool of new workers. There are multiple reasons why, from stagnation of wages to home and childcare costs outpacing wages.